only about this big. But how this is set up is on your cell phone or your smart device, you program into that eye beacon things to help people remember as they walk by the beacon. So maybe you're going to position that beacon by the front door, and as a person walks out the front door, and the eye beacon will recognize that and will say, your phone, it'll contact your phone to say, remember your car keys, remember did you take your medication. It will give you a list of things to check on as you pass this. Or it will give you a specific instruction if you're doing particular activities. An example would be in working in a cafeteria. If a young person or a person has a hard time remembering all the specific tasks or the workstation, you can put one of these beacons at each workstation so that as they walk up to that station, it will remind them what needs to be done at that particular station. So that's the beacon. Again, $22. It's not that expensive, but it's a cool tool. So digital assist environmental controls, these are all of our virtual assistants, and this is the area, this is that smart technology, this is that artificial intelligence that kind of freaks a lot of people out. Again, this is the future, and whether it freaks you out or not, you're going to have to accept the fact that this is where we're going to be going here in the future with so many of our tools. So what these devices are just a device that understands natural language, our human voice, and responds to that human voice to do an activity. So our smart devices all, they're listening to us. Well, what they're listening to us for is their wake-up word. They're not there listening to every word that you say and somebody listening in on you. They're sitting there listening for that wake-up word. And the wake-up word for the Amazon Echo is Alexa. We've all heard of Alexa. For Google, it's Hey Google. For the Microsoft products, it's Hey Cortana. For your phone, it's Hey Siri. They're all waiting for that wake-up word. Now, everybody's probably heard the fact that somebody heard that Alexa listened to somebody and shared that information with somebody else. Has everybody heard that story?
Yeah.
It's big in the news right now.
Have you ever heard that it's ever happened anywhere else? No. Well, there's a million of these products that are out there, and there's one situation where something came up, and that's where everybody wants to focus on. That this device does that to people. Well, you know what? What's happened with that is, unfortunately, somebody in a home said something which activated their echo. It in turn recorded what was said, and unfortunately in that recording they mentioned somebody else who had another echo, and it thought it was supposed to send it to, and that's what happened there. But we've never heard of it. There's millions of products that are out. Millions of commands a day is out there, and we have one thing that we want to pin on that device as why I don't want to use it. Well, truly it is your prerogative of whether you want to use these smart devices or not. And I'm not here to tell you one way or another, but I can say that this is the future. This is what's going to happen to all kinds of devices that are out there, whether we want to use them or not. It's going to happen to maybe not us to the same degree as our children or grandchildren, that type of thing. So smart speakers, again, I'm not telling you that you have to do this, but these are the things that I think are really beneficial for a lot of people. So we have hands-free convenience. So we have one of these in our kitchen and family room are kind of the same. So hands-free convenience, my wife can just say, set a timer for 15 minutes and it's done. I can be out of milk and I can just say, Alexa, put milk on my shopping list. The shopping list is there. I'm going to the store to get groceries, and Cinda sees that we don't out eggs. She can say, Alexa, put eggs in the shopping list. Before I get to the store, eggs are on my shopping list. Appointments. This will help you remember doctor's appointments. This will remind you every day, it's time to take your pill. And it will say it multiple times if you haven't taken your pill, until you tell it to stop reminding you to take your pill. For people who have a hard time reading books, Amazon was based, they were there to sell books. Well, this little device can read any book that's out there. And just by talking to it, you can be laying in bed and say, Alexa, read whatever.
War and Peace.
War and Peace, and it'll pick up where you left off yesterday. Music, environmental controls. Alexa, turn the lights off.
I think one of the best things I've done is set my home up to be a smart home, so the Alexa controls the lights. I can turn the lights off in the garage from sitting there.
Exactly.
Dim the lights, and the doorbells set up onto the Alexa, and the thermostat as well, so you
Yep.
can control the temperature all from the phone or talking to the Alexa.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do they work on fighting dogs?
I didn't hear what
Alexa,
was that.
buzz the dog collar. Shh.
I asked her if it helps quiet the dogs.
Well,
You're finding
there's-
something, right?
this device has something called routines, and routines are like an app for your phone or something. And one of the routines you can have is called barking dogs. So that if you're home alone, you're a lady or a man, or you're home alone, and somebody comes to the door and you're worried that somebody's coming in, you can say, Alexa, call the dogs. And all of a sudden, Alexa is barking like a dog, loud barking. So it
So
will.
you have to program it for that though, right?
Well, you just set up one of these routines that says.
Oh, I'm gonna do that, I think that's great.
Yeah, so, for a lot of people, they feel secure when they know that that's available. So you can have this crazy wild dog barking in the background. But I'll talk about that in a minute. I've got a lot to go through, so we'll keep going here. But I'm not going to go through, we talked a little bit about, but this is one of the Amazon, and again, I'm not here to provide information on just the Amazon, because Amazon, Google, Apple, Microsoft all have these devices coming on bigger and bigger. These are some of the Amazon products out there, and they all do the same thing. I don't care what you want to spend, they're all going to be as smart as one or the other. And the only benefit of using something like this little one right here, or this one right here, is the fact that they have a screen, a visual display, so that if you can't remember the words to a song, they will have all the words of the song going across the screen. If you want to talk to your consumer who's somewhere out in the community and you want to see them and have a face-to-face conversation, you can do that with this device. A lot of times seeing somebody in an environment is 10 times as more important than hearing how that. I want to see how somebody's living, because I can see if they can tell you one thing, but I can see in their face that there's something else that's going on. So these are great tools for doing that kind of activity. These are the skills, these are some of the things that are available with these kinds of devices. With the Amazon, you can use Ask My Buddy, and so with that, if you've fallen out, you can say, Alexa, ask my buddy. And it will then call up to 5 pre-programmed people that your family members or whoever, to let them know you need to get a hold of Kurt, because Kurt can't do something right now. You need to come over to Kurt's house right now, because Kurt is down. You can call this meditation. A lot of people have a difficult time with stress and anxiety, because there's a ton of different programs that are out there. If you lose your phone, it'll ring your phone for you to help you find your phone, your pillbox, all these kinds of solutions that are there. These are the smart plugs that are out there. So you just plug your lamp or your fan or whatever you want turned on. So you can just say, Alexa, turn the lights on, and it turns the lights on. This is the doorbell that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Is it hardwired in, or can I just put, is it just battery operated?
Either. You can get either.
Yeah.
Okay.
Though I have this at home, and it is not hardwired, and it works just fine.
I have a rented place and they won't allow us to put these doorbells. I want to get one.
Oh,
that's
yeah, you can-
battery operated.
Yeah, yeah.
So is it like screwed into the side of the house?
You can
Or
screw it in,
their
you
doorbell.
can tape it, you can use Velcro on the back, so you can take it off, and you can do any of those things, just how much security you want, you know, to have that. The only thing about, is it apartment you live in? Or you,
It's a duplex.
A duplex, okay. Because a lot of people, I have a friend who has a condominium, and hers is at the end, and there's another condominium at the other end of the hall, and two more on the side. So there's like 4 condos on one floor there. And her neighbor just put one in. Well, she feels really uncomfortable with the fact that now he can, because these are motion controlled as well as ringing them,
Right.
so that every time somebody steps out of that elevator, her neighbor can see,
Is
you know,
it
who's in the
video?
hallway.
Recorded video?
Yes.
If you want to, you don't have to pay for that. You can, for $3 a month, you can save that video into the cloud.
Or $30 a year, I just paid one.
Yeah,
And it'll text your phone, ring your phone when it activates.
exactly. So this, and again, there's pros and cons to this because I have mine set up. I've never had a problem until I'm sorry to say, I was in Hawaii last week. We were doing some work, but in the middle of the night, my phone buzzes, and I go to it, and nobody's there. Well, that kind of freaked me out. The next night, the phone goes off in the middle of the night again. I thought, this is really starting to scare me now. I turned it on, and there's the bandit. I got 3 little raccoons walking. So now I gotta figure out how to get those darn raccoons out.
Does it work off your Wi-Fi, your home internet, or
Yes, yeah.
so you have to have internet service at home for it to work?
Yeah, so that's gonna be how it works. So, and it really does work very, very well.
Yeah, they take really clear pictures.
Yes. So when we think about writing, a lot of people have tremors in their hands, so there's low-tech solutions that are out there. Sometimes you can just put some weights on a pencil. Sometimes you can buy pencils that are, you can slide the pencils inside those weighted devices and it dampens the tremors that are out there. A lot of times you can just do things like taking a tennis ball. Before we all got here, I put cameras around the room so I know who's got what, so anything that walks out the door, I know I'll find you. I'm gonna pass these things around. So a tennis ball gives you a whole different grasp on something like that.
That would probably help my mom.
Note taking. This is a marvelous tool for people who have a hard time taking notes. You know, I had an issue in my early life where I had a hard time with taking notes fast enough.
Yeah, me.
So I'm taking notes. Somebody's lecturing, I'm taking notes, and I get halfway done with my note, and they move on to something else that I think is important, and I skip down and I make another partial note, and it goes on and on like that. And by the time it's all done, I can't remember any of those notes. With this device, it records everything that's going on. So if you were recording me and you were taking notes of my lecture, you would give make a quick little symbol that he's talking about a ball. And you write ball, and then any other notes you want to take. And as I move on to smartphone, you just write smartphone, and then you make some notes as I'm talking on the smartphone, and you go on and on like that. When the lecture's over, you want to finish your notes, you just tap on that piece of paper that you wrote ball, smartphone, you tap on that area, and it plays back the entire lecture that I was giving you.
Wow.
So that you can listen to it again and finish your notes. And when you're finished with your notes and you've written them on here, it converts it onto your computer. So that you can then keep notes. This is called the Live Scribe. They're around $100 depending on which how good of one you get. But for a lot of young people who are taking classes, yeah.
Excuse me, so is this an app you put on your phone or it's a separate device?
This is a separate device.
Separate.
This is a device that actually doesn't need your phone. This is a device that's just like a fat pen and special paper. So you need the pen.
And it's called Live Scribe.
Right, it's called Live Scribe. And remember, back to our organization, the Washington Assistive Tech Act program, WATAP, if you want to try these out, go to our website and we'll send it to you. You can try it out, see if it works for you before you buy it somewhere. This is the Optlic. This is what they call an optical character recognition OCR device. And these devices look at text, take a picture of it, and convert it into speech. You can put any device you want. This is a little too big for me to drag on the plane and come over here. But again, you can set this like this gentleman has right here, the piece of paper down, clicks a button, and it reads, and it'll vary the speed of the reading to you depending on what you need. And it's a great tool. It's very responsive. $1,800. But here's the deal. I mean, $1,800. What's reading worth to you? If you've read your whole life, and reading is a huge part of who you are, is $1,800 really too much? I think it's expensive myself, but for some people, I'm not going to say that they can't find $1,800 out there somewhere through an organization, whoever, to help them purchase that device. There's the C-Pen reader. This is a device where you just slide the pen along the sentence and it reads whatever the sentence as you go across it. So you can also save it onto the device as you scroll across and then have it read back to you later. This is independent living now. Thinking about tremors that people have. There's two of these devices. There's Lipware and the GenoSpoon. Both of them, $200. But these are devices that have little gyroscopes inside which stop the tremors in your hand or control the tremors so that your hand can be moving, but the spoon stays pretty stable. And there's a couple of these new ones that are on the market too now that are more like wands that look a little bit more like an eating utensil that we have. Yeah.
Will insurance pay for any of this stuff?
That is the problem because, well, these are not, quote, medical necessity. So most insurance companies won't pay for a lot of these kinds of devices. When we get into augmented communication devices, speech things that help to speak to somebody, you want to type in or whatever, and it speaks to somebody. Those, if written up correctly, can be a medical necessity because it'll help you communicate with your medical provider. But that's about the only thing that's really covered in a lot of these
So
areas.
is this something we should be going after legislators about?
Well, possibly, yeah. But there's also organizations like the Northwest Access Fund. And the Northwest Access Fund provides low-interest loans to people. And maybe it's just a keyboard or maybe it's a smart